Hello my dear students. Today we are going to discuss first unit, that is basics of communication of data communication and computer networks, which carries 20 marks and it is having a 8 hours duration. 8 hours duration. So some important questions of this chapter are listed in this slide. You can go through that. These questions are very important for your examination purpose. Next, first question is, what is multiplexing, and list the types of multiplexing. Multiplexing is the set of techniques that allows the simultaneous transmission of multiple signals across a single data link, that is dividing link into channels. Then types of multiplexing. Multiplexing is divided into time division multiplexing and frequency division multiplexing, that is TDM and FDM. Again, time division multiplexing is divided into synchronous TDM and asynchronous TDM. The next question is, define modulation and demodulation. Modulation is the process. Some characteristics of a high frequency carrier signal, that is band pass, is changed according to the instantaneous amplitude of the information, that is baseband signal. It is the simplest and earliest form of transmitters. Why modulation is required? Suitable for signal transmission distance. Multiple signals transmitted on the same channel. Capacitive or inductive devices require high frequency AC input, that is carrier, to operate. Stability and noise rejection. Then what is demodulation? Demodulation is the process of recovering the signal intelligence from modulated carrier wave. This process, also called detection, is the reverse process of modulation. Next, explain need of modulation. Explain need of modulation. The main reason is the disturbance of noise. After transmitting, our message signal can be attacked by unwanted signals in the channel. Message signal can be modified into unwanted signal by noise. Because of noise, modulation must be done before transmitting. Next part of need of modulation is practicable size of antenna. Speech and music signal, that is 20 Hz to 20 kHz, can only travel for a few distance. To receive the transmitted signal, the length of antenna should be a quarter wavelength of the frequency used. If frequency is 20 kHz, the wavelength will be 15 km and the height of the antenna will become 3.75 km, which is impossible to install. Next part continued. When we add high frequency signal, that is 10 MHz, with our message signal, frequency becomes high, 10.2 MHz. The wavelength will low, that is 30 meter, and the height of antenna will become practically 7.5 meter. Next point of the need for modulation is power radiation. Power radiation. Radiated power is proportional to 1 upon lambda by square. Without modulation, the frequency of signal is low. will large and power will low. If power is very low, it will not reach destination and noise can also be added in the channel. If we used modulation, the frequency of modulating signal is high and radiated power will become high. Next part or next continued is narrow banding. Narrow banding does not mean that reducing the bandwidth. Bandwidth will remain same. It means that making wavelength same. Example, we calculate the height of antenna based on wavelength. Without modulation, each frequency will need antenna to continue. Antenna to continue. Next is if we use modulation, the wavelengths of many signal will be the same. By using modulation, antenna size requirement becomes same. Common processing. Common processing, how if we have only one transmitter to control or use various signal transmitting. Then multiplexing is also need in modulation. Multiplexing is the process of sending several signals through a common channel. Most of the television channels use the same frequency range, that is bandwidth. How multiple signals go without overlapping each other. So this is the need for modulation. Next is types of modulation, that analog modulation and digital modulation. Modulation is further divided into analog and digital modulation. Analog modulation next subdivided into amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, phase modulation, and digital modulation is again subdivided into amplitude shift keying, frequency shift keying, and phase shift keying. For our syllabus, only analog communication or analog modulation, that is amplitude, frequency and phase modulation is there. Next question is define baseband and broadband communication. Define baseband and broadband communication or transmission. In baseband transmission means sending a digital signal over a channel without changing the digital signal to an analog signal. Broadband transmission means changing the digital signal to an analog signal for transmission. In baseband transmission, it requires a low pass channel, a channel with a bandwidth that starts from 0. In broadband, it uses a band pass channel, a channel with a bandwidth that does not start from 0. So some of the difference between broadband and baseband points are given in this slide. We can go through this. Next is define frequency and pulse modulation. Define frequency and pulse code modulation. Frequency modulation means the process in which the frequency of the carrier signal is varied with the modulating signal, that is original signal, while the amplitude remains constant. In pulse code modulation, PCM is a method used to digitally represent sampled analog signals. It is the standard form of digital audio in computers, compact discs and other digital audio applications. Define and explain frequency division multiplexing. frequency division multiplexing. FDM is derived from amplitude modulation techniques in which the signals occupy the same physical line but in different frequency bands. Each signal occupies its own specific band of frequencies all the time. That is, the message share the channel bandwidth. FDM messages occupy narrow bandwidth all the time. Here the frequency division multiplexing, how it will work. Separation of spectrum into smaller frequency bands, you can see in the slide. Channel gets band of the spectrum for the whole time. Then what are the advantages of frequency division multiplexing? No dynamic coordination needed, works also for analog signals. Disadvantages: waste of bandwidth if traffic distributed unevenly, inflexible guard spaces. These are the some disadvantages of frequency division multiplexing. Each signal is allocated a different frequency band, usually used with analog signals. Modulation equipment is needed to move each signal to the required frequency band. Multiple carriers are used. Each is called subcarrier. Multiplexing equipment is needed to combine the modulated signals. So here is the diagram of frequency division multiplexing. So different number of senders are there and different number of receivers are there. Each frequency or different sub frequencies allocated to sender and receiver. Here is the how carrier signal is mixed with baseband analog signals to produce modulated signal. Again, at the receiver end, the modulated signal is divided into or made separate carrier frequency and baseband signal, or it is extracted from the channel. Next, time division multiplexing and explain. Define time division multiplexing and explain. Then what is definition of time division multiplexing? Is TDM is the time interleaving of samples from several sources so that the information from these sources can be transmitted serially over a single communication channel. At the transmitter side in the time division multiplexing, simultaneous transmission of several signals on a time sharing basis. Each signal occupies its own distinct time slot using all frequencies for the duration of the transmission. Slots may be permanently assigned to on demand. At receiver side in the TDM, demodulator has to be synchronized with the incoming waveform. Frame synchronization, low pass filter, ISI, poor channel filtering. Then application of TDM, digital telephony, data communications, satellite access, cellular radio. Here is the working of time division multiplexing. You can see a particular time or available time is divided into number of time slots, and that time slots is allowed to particular sender. Usually used with digital signals or analog signals carrying digital data. Data from various sources are carried in repetitive frames. Each frame consists of a set of time slots. Each source is assigned one or more time slots per frame. Then advantages of time division multiplexing. Full available channel bandwidth can be utilized for each channel. Intermodulation distortion is absent. TDM circuitry is not very complex. The problem of crosstalk is not severe. Only one carrier in the medium at any time. Throughput high even for many users. So here some of the disadvantages of TDM. Dear students, you can go through this. Next is the comparison between TDM and FDM, that is time division multiplexing and frequency division multiplexing. Some of the comparisons are listed in this slide. We can go through this. Then list the applications of TDM and FDM. So here these are the applications of TDM. These are the applications of TDM and these are the applications of FDM. Next question is short note on analog communication. Next question is short note on analog communication. So this is the main block diagram of analog. It consists in transducer, transmitter, that is modulator at the transmitter side, at the receiver side demodulator and output transducer. Information is encoded in a continuous amplitude, continuous time signal. Analog systems are less tolerant to noise. Make good use of bandwidth, easy to manipulate mathematically. However, analog signals require hardware receivers and transmitters that are designed to perfectly fit the particular transmission. If you are working on a few system and you decide to change your analog signal, you need to completely change your transmitters and receivers. Next, short note on digital communication. Short note on digital communication. Why digital is needed in the communication? You can go through this slide or you can go through this simple picture to understand clearly. It is difficult to distinguish the noise from the analog signal. It is easy to distinguish the noise from digital signal. Digital receiver only need to make a threshold decision, that is 0 or 1. Why digital is necessary? Advanced processing is possible, such as channel coding, source coding, encryption, multiplexing different users, TDMA or CDMA, multiplexing data from different sources, voice, video, data, etc. Lossless storing and retrieval. Many more advantages are there. Then transmitted power, channel bandwidth. A general system design objective is to use these two resources as efficiently as possible. In most communication channels, one resource may be considered more important than the other. Accordingly, we classify channels as power limited or band limited. For example, telephone circuit is typically band limited channel, whereas space communication link or satellite channel is typically power limited, and mobile communication is both power limited and band limited. So then what are the goals of digital communication? The goals of digital communications are transmission at high rate, that is transmission of message as fast as possible, error free transmission. The performance of the digital communication system is measured in terms of probability of error in received signal, transmission rate. Then next, what are the advantages and disadvantages of digital communication? Here some of the advantages and disadvantages are listed below. Dear students, you can go through this. Next part of the advantages of digital communication. So here are the disadvantages of digital communication. So next part of the disadvantages of digital communication. Next question is list and explain different types of propagation. List and explain different types of propagation. The three possible modes in which an electromagnetic wave can propagate through space are as follows: ground wave propagation, sky wave propagation, space wave propagation. Once the signal leaves the antenna, it can take any of the following three routes. That is, the type of propagation is decided by the route taken by the signal to reach receiver from the transmitter. In the three basic paths that a radio signal take are along the surface of the earth, that is ground wave, up to the layer called ionosphere, and back from the transmitter to receiver in a straight line, that is space wave propagation. The path taken by a radio signal depends on many factors, including the frequency of the signal, atmospheric conditions, and the time of the day. Next is ground wave propagation. Next is ground wave propagation. Ground wave affected by natural and man-made terrain, salt water from slow loss path, several 100-mile range, that is 2 to 3 megahertz signal. The ground or wave leaves the antenna and remains close to the earth, that is it will traverse the surface of the earth. The ground wave will actually follow the curvature of the earth and therefore can travel a distance beyond the horizon. The ground waves must be vertically polarized to prevent short circuiting of the electric field component. Next part of the ground wave propagation, a part of wave travels along or near the surface of the earth. Useful at low frequencies, useful for communication at very low frequency and medium frequency. Vertically polarized because lesser energy is absorbed in it. As the wave travels, level becomes lesser due to attenuation. You can see in the picture. Next is space wave. Space wave propagation, line of sight wave. Ground diffraction allows for greater distance. Approximate maximum distance, that is d in miles, is d is equal to square root of 2h tx plus square root of 2h rx, that is tx and rx are transmitter height and receiver height. No strict signal frequency limitations. The sky wave propagation cannot take place above the frequency of 30 megahertz because at such height frequencies, and the ground wave dies out near the transmitting antenna if itself due to the wavefront tilting. Next part of the space wave or tropospheric wave propagation. The electromagnetic waves that propagates from the transmitter to the receiver Earth in the Earth's troposphere is called space wave or tropospheric wave. Tropospheric is the region of the atmosphere within 16 km above the surface of the Earth, useful above the frequency of 30 MHz, used for FM, TV and radar applications. Next is skywave propagation. Skywave propagation reflected off ionosphere that is 20 to 250 miles high. Large ranges possible with single hop or multiple hop. Transmit angle affects distance, coverage, refracted energy. In the skywave propagation, the transmitted signal travels into the upper atmosphere where it is bent or reflected back to Earth. This bending or reflection of the signal takes place due to the presence of a layer called as ionosphere in the upper atmosphere. Skywave propagation is preferred for short wave band of frequencies that is 3 MHz to 30 MHz. So it is what is ionosphere, you can go through this information. This is the ionosphere layer it is. Next, skywave continuous part is these waves travel upward to space towards the sky and get reflected back to the receiver. You can see in the picture or you can see in the diagram. The ionospheric is an ionized region which lies approximate between 60 km to 450 km of atmosphere, useful for frequencies between 2 to 30 MHz. Then this is line of sight present in space wave. This is next part of the line of sight. Next, here the comparison of ground wave, sky wave and space wave propagation. So some of the main comparisons of in the form of frequency, alternative name, principle of propagation, distance, reason for limitation on range, power loss, applications. Please, it is a very important questions which carries 10 marks in the examination. Please all the students practice this. Next, a short note on radio wave propagation. Next, a short note on radio wave propagation. The term radio wave arbitrarily applied to electromagnetic waves in the frequency range of 0.001 Hz to 10 megahertz and the wavelength ranging from 3 into 10 raised to minus 8 meter to 3 into 10 raised to minus 11 3 into 10 raised to 11 meter. Radio wave comprises of both electric and magnetic fields. The two fields are at right angles to each other and the direction of propagation is at right angle to both fields. So this is the some information regarding radio wave propagation. Radio wave propagate outward from an antenna at the speed of light. The exact nature of these waves is determined by the transmission medium. That is, in free space they travel in straight lines, whereas in the atmosphere they generally travel in curved path. In a unguided medium, radio waves propagate in a TEM mode, while in confirmed or guided medium, radio waves do not propagate in the TEM mode, but in TM or TE mode. Radio waves can be reflected and refracted in a manner similar to light. They are affected by ground terrain, atmosphere, and other objects. So here is the classification of radio waves. Write the classification of radio waves. So this is very important, and we have given some main frequencies of the radio waves. You can go through this with a range, wavelength range, frequency range, and band. Then write a short note on electromagnetism. The wave of the electric field. Definition of electromagnetic waves. The wave of the electric field and the wave of the magnetic field are propagated perpendicular to the direction of propagation and to each other at extremely low frequencies. The electric field and the magnetic field are specified separately at higher frequencies. Electric and magnetic fields are not separable and are named electromagnetic waves or electromagnetic fields. So here the some nature of electromagnetic fields or waves. They are transverse wave within a medium. They can travel through empty space. They travel as variations in the electrical and magnetic field, have some magnetic and some electrical properties. Speed of electromagnetic wave is takes light 8 minutes to move from the sun to earth, that is 150 miles at this speed. Here the frequency, wavelength, and different types of waves with a frequency and wavelengths given below. We can go through this. So in the electromagnetic spectrum, so where exactly applicable in the day-to-day lives? So radios where you can get mobile communications, microwaves in the ovens, infrared rays where you will use, ultraviolet rays where you will use in sunlight. Visible light means you can see what you can say that rainbow. Then X-rays, you will all know, or you all know, or you have gone through the X-ray machines. Then gamma rays. So these are the some rays in the electromagnetic wave, and some main features, applications according to the frequency and wavelength here listed below. You can go through this to understand, or you can say that this slide is belongs to summary of electromagnetic. Next, radio waves. Next is, this is also radio waves. Means where you will use radio waves, microwaves. You can go through this slide, or some information is given below, given these slides with a picture where you will use the microwaves. Infrared rays, where you will use infrared rays, or where you will use infrared, that is equal to below red, shorter wavelength and higher wavelength than the microwaves. You can feel the longest ones as warmth on your skin. Heat lamps give off infrared rays. Means heat infrared rays means you whenever you feel heat in that is the effect of infrared rays. Next, visible light, shorter wavelength and higher wavelength than the infrared rays. Electromagnetic waves we can see. This is visible light, means whatever we see in day-to-day life, or whatever picture, whatever in front of our eyes appear, that is nothing but a visible light. Then ultraviolet rays, shorter wavelength and higher frequency than visible light, carry more energy than the visible light, used to kill bacteria, that is sterilization of equipment. You have seen in many hospitalization, or you have heard the name word sterilization. It is nothing but done with the ultraviolet rays. Then X-rays, shorter wavelength and higher frequency than ultraviolet rays, carry a great amount of energy, can penetrate most matter. So some information regarding the X-rays here given in the slide. So this how, if you take any living organisms X-ray, it will appear here. This is the bat's X-ray. So next is gamma rays, shorter wavelength, higher frequency than X-rays, carries the greatest amount of energy and penetrate the most. Used in radiation treatment to kill cancer cells, can be very harmful if not used correctly. So here the some summary of all the rays or electromagnetic waves. Here you can see that long wavelength lowest frequency, short wavelength highest frequency. The higher the frequency is, the higher the energy. So with this we conclude first chapter. So all some important questions are covered in this video. Remaining we will cover in next, or some remaining questions we will cover in next part.